Let's pinstripe and letter this Sea-Doo trailer that's been turned into a motorcycle trailer. This has been built to go along with a Model A that I pinstriped for the same customer last year. As always, we're going to start off with cleaning using spray away here and some lint-free shop towels. Going to clean every part of this that we paint, and there's quite a bit of it to clean. After cleaning with the glass cleaner, I like to use a wax and grease remover and go over the whole thing again. Before I do, I always test in the spot somewhere to see if any paint's going to come off, or if any is, how much is going to come off. In this case, mostly just rust coming off, which is okay. It's a distressed trailer, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the rest of the trailer. Alright, the next step in this project was to put down some tape as a guideline for when I do the long line stripe that's going to go around that entire belt, all the way around the whole trailer. I try to make sure when I do this that I have the same width between my tape and the top of that line all the way around so that my line's consistent whenever I go to put it down. Next, we're going to mark off the centers for these fenders because I'm going to be doing a design on those fenders. Here's a good trick for you if you're working on an area that you're afraid tape might pull some paint off. You can use the lint of your clothing to make that paint to where it doesn't stick quite so much. Put that down. Going to mark our line. I'm using an Omnichrome pencil here. Washes off clean with water or glass cleaner after everything's been dried. You'll see here whenever I go to pull my tape, it comes off a whole lot easier because it's not as sticky and I don't have to worry about it peeling the paint. Also using my pencil here and a square or a triangle and making a really loose grid. Just some lines that go across on both sides so whenever I'm doing my design I can try and make it the same. This is important for this job because I'm doing two fenders and both fenders need to look alike. Now that I've prepped the trailer, it's time to prep my brushes and my paint, get those ready to start striping. I have a little bit of lettering to start off with, so I'm starting with a lettering quill here. I believe it's a Mac 169 series. Really like these brushes. You'll notice I cleaned first in a dirty container, or my first clean, getting the oils out of my brush, and then cleaning again a second time, and then spinning that to get any of the thinner that I can out of the brush. Always shake your paint up good. I'm using one-shot lettering enamels here. Imitation gold to start off with. I like the squeeze bottles here because I can put as much as I want into my cup pretty easily, and I also like the fact that I can see what color it is without having to read labels. I'm adding just a little bit of reducer, high temp reducer in this case, to my paint, thin it out a little bit inside the cup. We're going to get it all stirred up here so that we can go ahead and palette our brush and get started painting. So it's kind of cool. My customer had me paint this exact same logo right here on his car on the Model A, and at first I didn't know what it was. He told me about it, showed me an image, and it's really cool. It's taking care of business in a flash. The story that I know on that, or at least my understanding, is Elvis Presley had that designed. You can see him wearing a little pendant with it in a lot of his videos and stuff. Kind of cool. After getting that part done, getting started on the fenders here, I did one fender and then come and do the other. So that grid that I showed you before came in handy because I can look at it and see where each line's supposed to start based off of the other design. A little bit of real time here. Everything else has been sped up. Show you guys just how slow these lines are. If I didn't speed the video up, this would be a really, really long video. Don't think anybody would continue watching. I get people all the time asking how to make designs symmetrical If you watch here, you can kind of see I put a line on one side of the design. Once it's done, I go and mirror that line on the other side. It's really not a lot of planning ahead. I'm not like tracing anything off or anything. It's just building it one line at a time. In this case, a little teardrop shape here. We'll put the teardrop shape on the other side. You'll also notice I've been lifting my brush here in the middle of these strokes because I'm afraid of dragging my finger through the wet paint over there. Totally okay to do, just got to practice how to start that line again in the middle of another line. What I've been cutting out of the video so far is palleting. Really important to palette your brush correctly. Get it totally loaded up with paint. That's what we mean by palleting. And there's a whole lot of palleting in this video. That I've cut out of the video. Alright, so once that brush is palleted up good again, we can go ahead and drag our long line here. You'll notice I put that tape down and I'm not touching the tape with the brush. I'm staying just a little ways away from it, probably about a 1/16 of an inch, and dragging that all the way down. In this case, my line wasn't perfectly straight, and that's because the edge of that metal there was actually kind of cutting into my finger a little bit the whole time, making it a little bit more challenging, but I went back and fixed that before I pulled the tape. If you palette your brush well, you can get a pretty good long pull out of this. I had to stop so that I could move my body because I ran out of space for me, not necessarily that I ran out of paint. But when lifting that brush, I always go back and palette again because some of the paint that's on there is drying to the air where it's at, and it keeps it from flowing as well. So whenever you palette that, it makes it to where it flows out of the brush good again. So one of the other things that we did on this trailer here that I really like is the 3 teardrops. Something that you see in old school hot rods and stuff, mostly attributed to a guy called Tommy the Greek. To me, it's kind of cool to kind of give a nod to that history and stuff. We did that on the car as well, just a few spots to accent it without having, crazy pinstripe designs that are really busy. Just sort of breaks up that space, but at the same time, it's kind of a cool, like I said, nod to hot rodding history there. This toolbox that he had mounted on the front of the hitch here, I think was really cool and was a really good space for some of the design stuff that we had talked about. Taking some of the designs from what we had done in the car, adding those onto this, and just really kind of making them fit the spaces. You'll see I had to work upside down a little bit there. Also chose on this one to kind of find a Harley logo that was sort of vintage, I guess you'd say, or at least looked to be a little bit more vintage. He wanted to put the Harley Davidson on here. This trailer is actually designed to carry, I believe he said it was a 47 Panhead that he has. So that'll be pretty cool back behind that Model A it shows. That's kind of his whole thing with this build here on the trailer and all, is to be able to pull that motorcycle behind his car that's matching. The bike kind of matches. When he shows up at a car show, he's probably going to draw a lot of attention with those. It's kind of neat. You don't always see that combination of stuff together. In fact, I don't know that I've ever seen that combination. Right here, I've taken, once the paint's kind of dry, not really dry, I'm using a little bit of lacquer thinner actually, and rubbing some of the letters and stuff out to make it look a little bit distressed. This isn't my favorite way to distress letters, but I thought it was the way that would give an effect that kind of worked with the way the paint on the trailer is distressed. It's a little bit more abrasive version of distressing letters. So the next step was to come back and do fills, or filling in shapes and stuff, on all the designs that I've done throughout the whole trailer here. Using my same pinstripe brush, putting a lot more pressure on it so that it's given a fat line so I can fill those in as few strokes as possible. You can see here there's a lot of crawling around. I've got a knee pad that I used a lot, but not all the time on this. Filling in a lot of these shapes and not all of the shapes, to me at least, does a lot to give you some contrast. You've got filled shapes versus skinny lines. Makes those designs a little bit more interesting. One of the other things you can note here, so I filled those with the white, and then I'm coming back, since the white is a higher contrast than the black background, or to the black background than the yellow is, I'm putting that on top. That way the yellow kind of pushes back, giving it a little bit more depth, letting that white pull forward. I've got another little trick that I'll show you guys later of coming through and sort of using some of that imitation gold again to come back over the top of it, capture some of those. We'll see that coming up. Here you go. So all the white's been done, coming back, and not every part, but just some parts, letting that imitation gold overlap the white, giving us some parts where the yellow is behind, some parts where the yellow is in front. Just kind of makes it a little bit more interesting to look at. I like putting these little lines here. I've seen a lot of other stripers do it. I like to refer to them as shoelaces. I don't know what they're called. I think I've heard somebody else refer to them as that as well. It's kind of fun. They kind of break up those shapes and look pretty good. If you're a pinstriper out there and you're watching this video, let me know in the comments what you think those are called. Maybe you've heard something else. We'll throw this signature on here, and then after that show you the final shots of what it looks like all finished. I wish I had turned the camera the other way, but I didn't. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this where it's just kind of walking through a project. If you like my videos and stuff, click on one of the other 2 videos that'll pop up and hit that subscribe button. Also hit like. See y'all later. Bye.